Hello, I'm Ollie, and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing, and also where I complain incessantly about my nose and the fact that I've got really bad sinuses at the moment, which are continuing, but I do feel a little bit better this morning, so I thought I would do a quick Saturday video to let everyone know what I'm reading. Okay, so the week just gone, or the week that we are at the end of, today is the last day of it, being the 7th, is Horror Mayhem. Week 1, which was the Supernatural Beings / Creatures week. So I've had a really good reading week, reading stuff for that. Also been involved in a group read and a buddy read. So quite a lot to talk about, which is nice. So let me go through what I read for Horror Mayhem first. So 4 books for that. So I read Horrorstor by Grady Hendrix, which is his novel that looks like an IKEA catalogue. It was a lot of fun. So it's quite a well-known one, this. So it's about a store which is called Orsk, which isn't IKEA, but is an American rip-off of IKEA, where a group of people who work there stay overnight one night in the store because there's been like damage that's been done to the furniture and stuff like that overnight. Like weird things have been happening overnight. So the manager gets a few people to stay behind to investigate. And naturally, there's all sorts of spooky goings on. So it turns out, actually, I won't tell you what it turns out because that will spoil the book. But it was very entertaining. It's not fantastic, but it's really entertaining, and it's really nicely presented as well. So you get things like, like employee evaluation sheets in it, and nice kind of art like that. So there's this graffiti going on in one of the washrooms, which gradually gets worse and worse as the book goes on, and then you also get these. At the start of each chapter, this very IKEA-like little bit about a piece of furniture, which as the book goes on, the pieces of furniture get more and more weird and sinister. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I finally got around to reading it. I've had it for a long time. Also read, so again on the kind of supernatural theme, I read The Amityville Horror by Anson, the supposedly true but clearly not actually true account of a haunting in Amityville. I can't remember what state Amityville's in. Is it New York? I don't know. Anyway, this was, it's nonsense, but it's a lot of fun. It was very entertaining and very weird. The main thing I would say about it probably is it's really quite badly written. His prose style is pretty awful, and there are so many exclamation marks in this book. I've never read a book with so many exclamation marks in, and most chapters end with an exclamation mark. I've just opened it randomly, and it's at the end of the chapter, which is someone speaking saying, "Who the hell left this goddamn lion on the floor? It almost killed me!" Exclamation mark. But then there's some exclamation marks which are just like things that aren't that dramatic at all, and you just can't figure out why he decided to put an exclamation mark there. So yeah, it was, you probably know the story because it's well known and was filmed as well, obviously quite famously. Here we go. Here's a good one. The rug had been rolled back. Chairs, couch and tables had been pushed against the walls as if to make room for a lot of dancers or a marching band! Exclamation mark. So yeah, it was very silly, but I did enjoy it. Next up, so I read Squirm by Richard Curtis, which is the novelisation of the movie of the same name. So I did ask in my TBR video where I talked about this whether it was the same Richard Curtis who wrote Blackadder and like Four Weddings and a Funeral and Love Actually and things like that. It's not. So someone did confirm in the comments that Richard Curtis was I think he was like an editor or something like that somebody who worked in publishing, and also did the novelisation for Halloween apparently as Curtis Richards. So this was a hell of a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. It's very silly, but consistent and very just completely stupid, but consistently entertaining. So it's about this small town where there's a guy who's got a worm farm. He raises worms to be used as bait by anglers. and it gets struck by electricity, and that makes the worms bigger and more prone to eating human flesh. So yeah, it was really daft, but I enjoyed it a lot. In a similar vein, I haven't quite finished it yet, but I am reading Blight by Mark Sonders, which is about a small community that is plagued by a swarm. Is swarm the right word? I don't know what the collective noun is for moths, but a swarm of moths that have grown teeth and eat people. And this is equally stupid as Squirm, but not as entertaining, I have to say. This just comes across as dumb, whereas that was dumb but fun. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. There have been some quite amusing scenes. For instance, this is a bit of a spoiler, but I'm going to say it anyway. So skip forward if you intending to read Blight and you really don't want to have it spoiled for you. There's a bit, as you can see, I'm nearly at the end, and there's a bit where all these people have managed to escape from the moths, and one of them knows how to fly planes, so they go to this airfield and get on this plane and take off, and you think they're going to escape, and then the plane, for no reason at all apparently, develops engine trouble and crashes, and they all die. It's daft. Also read this, and this was fantastic. So this is Dracula's Death, which is translated by Laszlo Tamasfi, who also runs the publishing house that it comes from, who are called, I'm going to have to forget what they're called now, which is terrible. It's like Strangers from Nowhere Publishing. So this is a novelisation of what is considered to be the first film appearance of Dracula, which was a Hungarian film called Dracula's Death, that was made in, I can't remember when, like 1921. So it was made before Nosferatu, but only released after Nosferatu. And at the time, it was like a novelisation of it was done by a Hungarian publisher who published it, I think, as like a serial in a magazine or something like that. And the actual film is lost, and I didn't realise this, but like something crazy, I can't remember what the number was, like 75-80% of silent films have been lost. They just don't exist anymore, partly because the film stock they were made on was very fragile and very flammable, and also because as soon as the talkies hit, nobody cared about silent films anymore, so nobody thought to preserve them. Thankfully, because the written word has always had a bit more respect from people, the novelisation was preserved by like a Hungarian institution who make sure everything that's published in Hungarian is, a copy of it is kept. So Laszlo Tamasfi, I think, is of Hungarian origin but now lives in the States, got hold of it and has translated it and released it. I've got another book from the publishing house to read as well, which I showed in my TBR, which I haven't managed to get to yet, which is like an old pulp vampire novel. But yeah, it was just a really lovely thing to read. So half of this book, it's, you can see it's quite a slim volume. So half of the book is the novelisation, which has got some great illustrations in it as well. So there's one of Dracula, and there was a really good one. Yeah, that one I really liked. So Heather the Librarian reviewed this the other day, and she commented that it felt a lot like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, in that there's loads of weird stuff going on and you don't really know whether to believe it or not, or whether it's in the imagination of the characters. And that's true. It's very reminiscent of Caligari, particularly because it's set in a hospital, so in a mental hospital, where one of the people there believes himself to be Dracula, and you never really know if he's Dracula or not. But it was just a really entertaining read. I really enjoyed it. And then the second half, which is fascinating, is the history of the film. So an extended essay about the history of the film, with photographs of people that are involved in it. One of the people who co-wrote it, apparently, and I forget his name now, which is terrible. I'm just flipping through to see if I can find it. But he's the guy who then moved to America and changed his name, and I can't remember what he changed his name to either, but went on to, is it Michael Curtis? I think it's Michael Curtis. Went on to direct Casablanca. So, quite an important figure in cinema history. So yeah, this just really fascinating essay at the end about, the problems with finding original copies of old silent movies, and the history of how the film was made and how it was released and things like that. So all in all, an absolutely delightful book. I really, really enjoyed it, and thank you again to Laszlo for sending me a copy of that. So that's the stuff I read for Horror Mayhem. I also read, for the and I think this probably could have been included for Horror Mayhem as well, actually. So the Berthier Book Club, which is what we're going to start calling it. So where we're reading the books that various booktubers chose as their favourite books from their Berthier. The one we did this month was The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. So a number of people involved in that group read. I had read this before, but it's really, really good. I'd forgotten quite how good it is, actually. I think my memory of it was very much overshadowed by the film. So obviously it was filmed as Hellraiser. And the film, I think, partly because it's so graphic, it's just one of those things that really sticks in your mind. And the visual impact and the Cenobites and things like that, I think, it really sticks with you. But the book was excellent. It's really well written. I really liked the way the Cenobites are not particularly the descriptions of them are not particularly detailed, so you kind of get glimpses of them and you have to piece those bits together in your mind. It's a lot like the way H.P. Lovecraft represented some of the elder gods and things like that in his work. You get a sense of them, but it's your own imagination that puts the pieces together and creates something terrifying. And the violence in the book is really, really well handled as well. So similarly, it's not massively graphic or massively detailed, but it feels really horrible and really real. So yeah, a really enjoyable read, and I do recommend that to anyone who hasn't read it. And then also buddy reading this book, Moondance by S.P. Somtow, with MJ from Reading This Life. So not that far through, so have finished the prologue and started into part one of this. So I don't normally read more than one thing at a time, but I am now, and it seems to be working okay. So this is great fun so far. So a werewolf novel set in the Old West, but starts with, so the prologue is about this woman who travels to a mental asylum again, much like Dracula's death, to interview somebody there who's got multiple personalities. So the prologue was really well handled. I really enjoyed it. And then, not for any event or buddy read, but I also read, so I started this right at the end of April but finished it in May, the MD by Thomas M Disch. So I'm doing a series of reviews, or involved in a series of reviews of books that were nominated for the Stoker Awards, the Horror Writers of America Awards, and this was one that was nominated in the year that it was published, which was 1991, I think. So yeah, this was really good. It's quite long, and arguably it's longer than it could have been, but it was really interesting. So it's about this guy who has access to one of these things. So the classic doctor's stick with the snakes going around it, which is called, let's see if it says on the back what it's called, a caduceus, and it can it gives him abilities basically to heal people, but also to do horrible things to people, and it follows him from childhood through to adulthood and what he does with those powers. So it was really good. It was a fascinating book, really interesting idea, really well handled. I can certainly see why it was nominated for an award. I'd not read anything by Thomas M Disch before. I don't think he's publishing anymore. Not sure if he's still alive even. But yeah, this was a very entertaining and interesting read. And then also, I have been reading Henry James, and it is Henry James and not M.R. James, as I keep on saying in videos. So I said I was going to read The Turn of the Screw for Horror Mayhem Week 1. I haven't managed to do that because I picked up this, so I've got this collection, which is The Turn of the Screw and other ghost stories, and The Turn of the Screw is not the first story in this, and I'm not one of those people who feels comfortable just skipping ahead and reading a story out of order in an anthology, as ridiculous as I know that is. So I've started at the beginning and read the first story, which I've now completely forgotten the name of, so bear with me and I will tell you what it was. The Romance of Certain Old Clothes, which was really entertaining. So it doesn't feel like a ghost story until right at the end, but it's got a slightly cheesy but entertaining finish. So I enjoyed that, and I'm now reading The Last of the Valerie, Turn of the Screw is a good few stories away, so I'm going to carry on reading this in the evenings, I think, when I settle down at night. But yeah, I certainly won't get the Turn of the Screw in for week 1 of Horror Mayhem. So on to week 2. So week 2 is Gothic week. So I've got 3 things on my pad. Oh, also I might try and, if I finish Blight today, I might try and fit this in as well. Scourge by Gary Fry, which is a British kind of creature novel or novella, which was quite fun. So I got this in one of the Abominable Book Club boxes. So very short. So if I manage to finish Blight and have a bit of time this afternoon, I'll try and squeeze that in as well. So moving on then to week 2, which is Gothic week. So I've got a couple of things. So I've got Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay, which is a quite well known and well known for the film version as well, which I have seen. So I've seen the 70s film. Was it 70s or 80s? I forget. I've seen that. I haven't seen the more recent version, but about a group. I think it's based on a true story about a group of Australian schoolgirls who go missing. But it's supposed to have real kind of gothic horror vibes to it. And then also going to reread The Wasp Factory by Iain Banks, which I read years and years ago and remember really enjoying. So looking forward to reading that. And then I've also got on my Kindle The Elementals by Michael McDowell, which I'm also very much looking forward to reading, having really enjoyed Blackwater by him when I read that a while ago. So yes, that's what I have been reading and what I'm going to be reading. Do let me know if you've read any of these things, and also what you've been reading for Horror Mayhem if you're involved in the event. In terms of channel stuff, I did manage to do a video on Friday because I'm not feeling terribly well, but I had, what did I have last week? So I did my new original tag, the Generally Speaking tag, which a few other people have done as well now, which is good fun. I did a review of Autumn Gothic by Brian Bowyer, which was excellent. And I did a library tour of some thriller books that I had in the attic. In the week ahead, I know what I'm going to do for Sunday Bollocks this week, and it's not the kind of thing I normally do for Sunday Bollocks, but it's a response video to a video that Genius Tanya did, so I'm quite looking forward to doing that. And then aside from that, I haven't decided. I need to do a review. I might do a review of the MD, or I might do a review of Hellbound Heart, or one of the other books I've read. So I'll try and get a review video up on Thursday. And I don't know what tag I'm going to do on Tuesday yet, but I will find a tag to do on Tuesday as well. And I'm also, so this is just a bit of a teaser, I'm thinking about doing a new regular feature on the channel. So if I manage to get the pieces of that together in my head, I'll do like an announcement video for that as well, just to trail it for people. Plus I am due an Abominable Book Club box in the post this week. It may even come today, so if I do get that, I will do an unboxing video for that as well. So yeah, that's me really. Hope everyone out there is feeling well. I'm still struggling with my sinus problems, as you can probably hear. But bearing up, and yeah, I felt okay today to do a video, and hopefully I'll manage to keep stuff coming up on the channel over the next few days and weeks. There was one other thing I wanted to say, and I forgot what it was now. That's terrible, isn't it? Oh, I am very, very behind with comments. So I'm really behind with replying to comments. So apologies if I haven't replied to your comment yet. I will reply to it, I promise. I do always reply to every comment. It's just, there's been a lot recently, particularly after the Sunday Bollocks video I did last week, so I'm a wee bit behind, so apologies for that, and not feeling very well. I haven't really had the energy to do it either. So anyway, yeah, that's me. Hope everyone out there is safe and well. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I will speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.